Right, we're back, people, on a different stream. We'll get a couple of us in before we start chatting. Carl Morris, hello mate, how we doing? Alex Stride, James Haddon. Keep them well, everybody. Hope everyone's coming off the other one, because I've just been doing a live there, but in the middle of it went off for some reason. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Evening again, Stevie boy. I don't know if you can still hear us when the screen went off or not. Chris Smith, did you ever meet Carl Ness? I don't believe I do. Daniel Bell, oi, watching from the RVI. I hope you're all right, mate. Hopefully, nothing too serious. James Haddon, yes, audio is good. Trev Deck singing. Nice one, Trev. Karina Colleen, hello, sis, how we doing? But I was just on a different live there. Well, I want to see him on this one, but it cut off for some reason. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Carl was an associate of Raoul Moat. Right, got your eyes up. Was that the one that... I'm watching that documentary where the drama again. I'm on to the second episode at the minute. And I can't remember the name of the two lads. That was his accomplices. Obviously, that's the one that you were referring to. Because there was two lads. There was one of them an Asian lad and another lad. And they got quite big tariffs, didn't they? Bonnie D, good evening from Boston. Yes, Bonnie, all the way from Boston, yeah. Malcolm, good evening from Bathgate. Good evening, mate. Scott Wilson, you get me messages, fella? I don't believe I've received any messages from a Scott Wilson. I'm not sure, actually. Might have gotten some on Instagram, actually. I get that many messages, I can't remember the names. Excuse me. Dan and Laura, yes, from Handsworth in Birmingham. So, yeah, but if anyone else is watching this, actually, I might not have clicked that one at this time. I think you can only comment if you're a subscriber. Obviously, that's just to keep the rare trolls at bay, because you do get some of them. I don't get many on this platform, but you do get them. Carl Morris, what a great channel. Enjoy every video. Not being to prison, but a fair few run-ins with the law. Like I say, I think the majority of me subscribers, well, I know for a fact the majority of me subscribers haven't been to prison, and you like to hear the prison stories. And obviously that's what I'm delivering to you lot. But I'm in no way glamorizing prison. I don't come on here bigging myself up. I've been to prison, I'm this, I'm that. Or talking about fighting. Someone had comment on my previous video that I put a short on about, the title of it was called Fighting in High Security Prisons. I was not about me fighting in prison, high security prison. Because like I say, I don't come on here to big prison up. I come on to do the opposite, actually, to show people what prison is really like, and let the viewers know, and let the youngsters, because there is quite a lot of youngsters, especially from my area, watch me channels. So yes, I try and deter people from going to prison, not bigging it up, not glamorizing it, not glorifying it, because you don't want to go to prison. The summer's just starting, the spring's here, the summer's going to be starting soon. The weather's getting nice, and it always reminds us when the weather starts getting nice and you're stuck in prison, stuck in that cell, all lonely, but red hot in the summer, and it's not the place to be. Darren Thomas, how's it going, mate? Chris Smith, did you meet Mick Steele or Jack Holmes? I didn't meet either of those, but Mickey Steele was in Franklin after not long. Well, he was in Franklin after I got there. Yeah. Scott Wilson, Craig Rolfe's brother, regarding Essex Boys. His brother is desperate to do an interview and podcast. I did get your messages. I messaged you back, actually. There is a Facebook group on the Essex Boys, and I was in contact. It might have been Craig Rolfe's brother. I messaged him through Facebook, asked if he wanted to come on and share his story, because everyone finds the Essex Boys fascinating, obviously, of all the films that have been out. James Haddon has been in a Scottish YY prison. Paul Monty, your channel is amazing. Nice one, mate. So we've got Derek Domino here. He says, my name's Samuel Lafat. I've done about 10 years in and out for street robberies. I was on crack, but been clean over 4 years. Well done on getting clean, mate. Hopefully you can stay on this side of the wall and live a pro-social lifestyle, because if you've done 10 years, you'll know it's no place to be. So well done on staying out, and well done on getting off the drugs, because obviously the drugs plays a massive part in why people commit robberies and do offences or whatever. Everyone's got their own story. There's always something behind it. JC Kevin's big up, lad. Uncle Yami rates you. Yeah, I mean, Yami spoke a few times. We still haven't getting together and done the podcast yet. We're all going to do one together. Yeah, Yami's good stuff. He's got a decent channel. He talks a lot of he's got a lot of stories about whilst he was in there. And he knows all the big people that were in there. So me and Yami are going to get together and do a podcast at some point. Emma Clark, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you very much. Yeah. Scott Wilson, cheers, fellow Emma Clark. Jammers, even in Ricky Parham, I'm interested in learning about the prison journey, as my cousin did 12 on an IPP 2 wreck. Got out after a year, committed suicide. Sorry to hear that, mate. It's an absolute nightmare. I speak about the IPPs a lot on here, obviously, because I'm serving IPP. But it's an absolute nightmare of a sentence. And there's too many people committed. There's over 80 people committed suicide now, even in prison and out of prison, who were serving IPPs. And even out here, but in the community, you're still serving that sentence, and it's still hanging on your back like a lead weight, and it's not a very nice thing to have around you constantly. Malcolm says, I haven't been to prison or get in trouble with the police, but my brother and cousins had been involved in drugs, etc. Yeah, 2 seconds. I'm just going to... Stevie boy, I'm just going to add you as a moderator. 2 seconds. Just going up as a moderator, bro, just in case any trolls come in, you can deal with them. I'd normally have my other pal on, Neil, but he's not on tonight. But I've just put you down as a moderator there, pal. So if you see out you want to remove, just click remove, because I know you're a loyal subscriber. You'll not have any of that shite in here. But click them likes, people. There's only 17 likes. There's quite a few of you in the room at the minute. So keep on hitting them likes to get that algorithm up. If I do miss any of your questions or comments, just keep putting them on again, because there's quite a few keep going up. So if I do miss you out, just put it back in, I'll answer it. Jay Shaw, hello Ricky, first live I've caught. Welcome, mate. Enjoy it. If you've got any questions, fire away. Yeah, no time for trolls. Like I say, this channel gets loads of, it's all positive. You do get the odd 1 or 2, but it's very, very rare. I have blocked quite a few in the year that I've been doing it, so I'm seeing quite a few. If anyone puts daft comments on ours, I don't. The easy thing would be to write something back, but I don't rise to it. If I see a daft comment, it doesn't affect me whatsoever. When I first started doing it, I used to do me TikTok before I was doing YouTube. And at first, when people were putting comments on it first, I was like, felt a little bit peed off when people were putting daft stuff. But no, it doesn't even bother us. I just look at them, read the comment, don't reply to it, block. It's as simple as that. Top G, do you still have to go to probation? Yes, mate, I'm still on probation, still on monthly appointments. And that's obviously with the IPP. When you're on life license, you've got to keep going to probation until that license gets removed. I would have gotten IPP, sorry, I was lucky. Yes, mate, you totally are lucky that you didn't get that IPP, mate, because you would have been stuck with it now. And some people who can't handle the pressure in prison turn to drugs, get into trouble, whatever. And those are the ones that are still stuck in there now of 2-year tariffs, and they've been in there for 18 years. Absolute nightmare it is. Cabana, hi Ricky, you're doing fantastic. Thank you very much. Like I say, the majority of you lot on here, well, yeah, all of you, the majority, it's all positive feedback. It's all good content and all good feedback. Sorry, I was going to say a back feed there. All good feedback. So yes, thank you all for your continuing support. My subscribers has just went over 34,000 at the minute, and it's flew up since it was round about last April, May, when I started doing prison topics last year. So it's up, been nearly a year, on subscribers is 34,000 within a year. So really, really happy with that. Hopefully get to that 50,000 mark by the end of the year. So JC Kevin says his first live tour. I wanted to ask you, Ricky, have you words of advice for people who might be struggling with addiction? If you're struggling with addiction, the words of advice I would give you is just try and do something positive. Try and get yourself some structure in your life so that your day is filled. Wake up at a normal time on a morning and don't just lie there or go back to sleep. Get out of bed, go to a gym, go for a walk. You don't even have to go in a gym where you'll be surrounded by people. Go for a walk, do some sort of exercise, plan your day ahead, and always try and go out your way to help somebody during that day, whether it's something small or something, even being polite to people. Just do something that's going to make you feel good about yourself, and try and just think of the positive things you want in life. If you want something bad enough, you will get it. If you want to kick your habit, if you're struggling with addiction, you will kick it if you want it bad enough. It'll not happen when you're not ready for it. It'll come at the right time. When you want to make the best of your life, then you will. But you've got to be strong and you've got to want it. Jammers says, was just about to ask about the life sentence. You can't even spit on the path now without the threat of recall, mate. Yeah, like you see it, you've got the threat of recall anytime of anyone who's on license. But with IPPs, like you say, you've just got to be careful what you're doing, keep out of bother, and just stay on that right path, because the IPP is an ongoing nightmare, and you get put back into prison. And then once you're in prison, it's not yourself you've got to be worried about. It's other people. If you're on a ring with 100 other people, you've got 100 other personalities to have to deal with for you to not get into trouble. Because if someone comes and tries to start a fight with you, or you get into an altercation, or you have an argument with a screw or anything like that, then you're the one that's going to get knocked back on your parole. Michael Salmon, IPP should be given to sex offenders and murderers, nothing less. Well, it was actually brought out for sex offenders. That was the main purpose of the IPP, so that if they posed a risk of harm to kids, which they do, then they wouldn't get out of prison, or they wouldn't be in the community because they'd be getting recalled. Or, like I've just mentioned, when I was in Franklin prison, a psychologist on one of the courses I was on told me the reason they brought the IPPs out was because some of the sex offenders that were doing the sex offender courses, they were blatantly saying when they get out, they were going to do the same again. And when they were doing a determinate sentence, they had to release them. They couldn't keep them. But now they brought the IPPs out, where if they think they're a danger, they can keep them. They can't be released if they still think they're a danger. It's the same with everybody that's on IPP. But they were predominantly brought out for sex offenders because they pose a harm of risk to children because they're not wired up right. Stevie Wilson, yeah, you love where I'm working now outside Parkhead. Scott Wilson, I'm sure you fella definitely. There was, Derek says there was a guy on IPP who got out and done burglaries and smoked drugs and got recalled 2 days after he got out of an IPP. See, these are the type of people that spoil it or make it worse for everybody else serving IPPs, because don't get us wrong, there's 8,500 people serving IPP. And I can imagine some of them, when they do finally get released, like Derek's just mentioned there, he was out for 2 days and he was back doing stuff like this. But whilst he was in prison, he probably had a drug habit, probably to get through the IPP. And then he's been released back into society with a drug problem, with no money, 30-odd pound or 40-odd pound on discharge, what the prison service gives you on release. So he's getting out and he's probably got a drug habit and he's went out committing burglaries to fund this habit that he's probably getting whilst he was in prison. Because there's a lot of people goes into prison that haven't took drugs before and they get a habit in prison, they get offered drugs, they take drugs, and they come out with an addiction. They go in clean and come out with an addiction. Slender Brenda, she's just put 199 in the chat. Thank you very much. Chris, how we doing? Cedric Powers, am I thinking right? Your gym is in Stanley. It is, that's right. Emma Clark, you are amazing. Hope you get past your last on the Great North Run time, hopefully. You kind of beat the Geordie accent, brings me in my own mind of a construction site I was on for a while down that way. A lot of people like the Geordie accent. But I was born over in Newcastle and I live over in Stanley now, which is County Durham. But the County Durham lot, more so over up my end, Stanley and Constant, not, they've got more like a bit of a broader Geordie accent compared to when you go further down into Durham. They don't sound as broad as what we do up here. Stevie Boy says, can you all press the like button, troops? Go and hit that button, people. Get them there. Get the numbers up. So Dan and Laura, you probably mustn't have seen the last live that I've done. It says, does your face tattoo signify anything? Stay safe. So my face tattoo, the teardrop that I've got on there, most of you will know, but just for you that are new into the lives or into me channel, because I've got, like I say, I've got loads of new subscribers. That facial tattoo, the teardrop, it does represent prison, but that's not the reason why I got it. The reason why I got it was when my best friend committed suicide. Well, 2 of my best friends did. One of them did. Another one done it a couple of years later, but I got it for my first one. My best friend, he committed suicide, and I used to go through depressive states. I actually found him. And every so often I would get depressed and I would start drinking. And I actually got it when I was drunk one time, getting some tattoos done. And that was why I got the facial tattoo. But a lot of people think it represents prison, and people think that I've got it while I was in prison. But I'm actually booked in next week to get it lasered off. I'm getting it removed off my face, putting that in the past, because it does sort of signify prison as well. Because in America, that means you've either killed someone or done a life sentence. And I think over here it means similar, but it does mean you've been to prison. So when people look at us, they say that, they think, oh, he's been to prison. And I don't want to be tarnished with that. Even though I've got this channel, when I'm going out and doing talks or whatever, or I'm going to meetings with people, it just doesn't look good having that on my face. So I am going to get rid of that. Peter Hamilton says, while in prison, did you feel like you had a sense of being ashamed and wish you had done better? I have watched your videos on why you chose that route, but interesting to know the story. Keep it up. So did I sense of ashamed? I wished I'd done better. Obviously, I think everyone that's went down that path when they ended up in prison, and you look back, especially if you've got a family left at home, and you think to yourself, like, what you've done, and not just the shame on yourself, the shame on your family. I think the majority of people feel ashamed, and yes, I do. When I did think like what I could have been doing with my life, and obviously that's why when I got out, I did better my life and start doing all the stuff that I'm doing now, even more so the first time I got in, got released. And then when I got released after the second time, when I got recalled, obviously both sentences worked for me, made us a different person, made us change my mindset. And then the last time when I got recalled, I was in a bad mindset because of me best friend that committed suicide. And even though that prison sentence was the worst thing that happened to us, it was also the best thing because it made us find myself again. I found who I was. I become at peace with what my friend done, and I dealt with these suicides, and I become a better person. My mindset started becoming clearer again, and I've been out over coming up nearly 2.5 years now, and I'm still on that same path. So it's not something that I've just getting released and I'm on this path, which a lot of the lads do. They get out and they want to be on that better path, and they've been out for a few months, but then slowly they start dipping again and they forget about where they've just been and they forget about all the sleepless nights in prison and they end up back there. But I've been out, like I say, 2.5 years and I'm still doing now. In fact, I'm doing better now than the first week I was out. My mindset, what I knew I wanted, and I'm still in that mindset and that's never slipping back. I'm just on that path now and I'm helping other people along the way, which makes me feel good about myself. Doing trips, yes, I had a laser one. It feels similar to getting that tattoo. My wife actually had a one on her arm and she started getting that lasered off. I think it's took a few times for her to, I think she's been about 3 or 4 sessions and it's still not off properly, but hopefully that one on my face won't take too long. Malcolm has put £5 into the chat. Thank you very much, mate. That chat at the bottom, it's I think you get some sort of privilege when you donate money into that chat. But I mean, I'm not asking for people for money. I don't need people's money. But obviously, when you put stuff in like that, thank you very much. It will go towards a good cause. So Southwest Carpenter says, hi Ricky, what was the daily routine for you and others when you was in Franklin? So the daily routine in Franklin prison was a lot better than the other prisons for the routine and everything that you've done. During the day, your activities, the workshops, you got more gym time. So you would get your door unlocked at 8 o'clock in the morning and you didn't go to work until 8:30. So you had half an hour to either go and sit in your mate's pad, go and have a cup of coffee, or go and have a shower because you could get in the showers as soon as your door was opened up, or go and make toast, go around, grab your breakfast, do whatever. You had half an hour. A lot of the lads just used to shut the doors and wait another half an hour, but I'll get up at 8 o'clock, where I'll be awake before that. I was awake about 7 o'clock every morning, 6, 7 o'clock, all ready for the door opening, go and sit in my pal's pad, have a cuppa, and then I went in a few different workshops. I would go to the workshop from 8:30 till 10:30. Then you would come back, you would have association for maybe it's about half an hour, and then get your dinner. Then we'll be banged up from 12 till 2, open back up for workshops in the afternoon, go to work from 2 till about 3:45, come back, banged up from 4 till 5. Obviously, that's when the screws go off to have their tea or dinner during them hours. So banged up from 4 to 5, open back up from 5 till 7:30, and this is when we would go to the gym or go and cook food, because in Franklin you could cook your own food. So we would go and sit in there, cook meals every other night or every night, but we'd take turns. If there's 5 of us on a food boat, we'd all have a turn every night of cooking the food. Jaden O'Neill watching live from HMP Preston. Danny Leeds, you ever meet any lads from Leeds? Yes, I did. I met Dennis Slade. He was from Leeds. He was in Franklin with us. Good lad. Stephen Barton, even Ricky Hope, all as well, fella. Biker Grove. Dan and Laura, suicide in England and Wales needs addressing. Everyone knows of someone in the last few years. It's getting more and more. It is. And County Durham, especially Stanley, has the biggest suicide rate in the country. And for a small place, it's a frightening statistic, that. And that's why, obviously, a lot of you that have been following us, I've got my own group set up in my gym called Behind the Bars Support Group. And that's where it's for men over the age of 18-year-old suffering with mental health. We all come together every Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock. I put this on free of charge in my gym with free access to the gym after the session. And we all sit and talk and just try and help each other. And it's working wonders. I've helped save quite a lot of people in that group, which I'm proud of. Anum Ahmed says, hi Ricky, who was the most famous prisoner you have met? It's hard to say that one. The most famous prisoner is just probably the one at the minute, which is getting a lot of, or he's on a lot of the podcasts, and most of you will have heard about him, is Kevin Lane from down London, where he's I was in Franklin with him. We've just done a podcast together not so long. Mark O'Brien says, how do you do a deposit or a donation, pal? Like I say, I'm not really, it's okay about that, pal. What I'll do is I'm going to put a link up for, I'm doing the Great North Run in September for the If You Care Share charity, which is a suicide charity. I'll put the link up in the next couple of days. I'll put it in the community page section. It's a GoFundMe link, so the money goes direct to the charity. I've raised £1,000 for this charity since I've been out of prison. In the last couple of years, I've raised over £3,000 for this charity, £3,000 or £4,000. And like I say, I'm continuing to support this charity all the time. So, but I have set up a GoFundMe for the group that I've got in my gym, and this is to take the lads out on days out, just to get them out, get them active, and give them something to think about. Nice touch it is, mate. Like I say, blokes don't talk, but the lads in my group, I think because they're seeing the likes of me, who a lot of people would look at and think I'm a big lad, they wouldn't expect me to be talking the way I do, but because I'm opening up and I talk about things, there is a lot of people come to me for support. I get messages daily. I wake up every morning with messages from people saying how much I've helped them. I'm an inspiration for them. And because, like I say, I do all this for free off my own back. That's the reward for me doing that. A-Beat says, did you ever... I thought you meant Tommy Tank. Yeah, I think everyone done that, mate. Trev Deck says, hi Ricky, how can I help? Please contact me. Thanks. Well, Trev Deck, I don't know how to contact you, but if you want to help, like I say, I'll put the links up for these charities that I'm doing work for or doing the run for, and I'll appreciate any donation, because the money that I've raised for this charity so far has actually, like I say, it's helped save a lot of people, and I have gotten a lot of good feedback about it. Ken Charlton, thank you very much, mate. And Ahmed says, isn't Mercer in Wakefield now? I'm not quite sure. I know sure Mercer was in Franklin, but I believe, did he not get attacked not so long back? How do you fancy I'll get Samson Misra too and his brother Tony and hopefully Kevin Lane? I'll treat you all in the Loch Ness trout fishing competition. Aye, sounds interesting, mate. Not really been into fishing and out like that, but yeah. I got moved from Franklin because I can't remember what happened, but I think he was getting a bit too big. for his boots, and he got weirding off a few of the lads in Franklin. So Paul Gray says, "Hi mate, you need to do a story on my mate Malcolm Leggett. He's in the book Scottish Hard Bastards and was the ringleader in the Peterhead riots." Well, funnily enough, I've got his name wrote down because I've got a notepad with people that I'm going to do videos on, and actually he's one of them. And I have actually just gotten that book a couple of weeks back. So I will read it first. Obviously, I like to do a bit of research first and read up on people before I do the stories. I have heard a little bit about them, but I will read up on them more, Paul. And I will, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing a video on Malky Leggett. So Padawarua from Ireland, Patrick in Ireland says, "Men love to talk about football, but never talk about their own health." It's an absolute fact. Like you say, they'll sit and talk about anything, chat shit about fucking anything, have a laugh and all that. But when it comes to talking about their emotions and our emotions and feelings, I did it myself, but it wasn't until I actually opened up years ago that I knew I was feeling better by doing it. And this is what I'm trying to get into the younger kids now as well, talking from a young age, because when you bottle stuff up from a young age, 14, 15, 16, that type of age, and you don't get it out, it comes out in some other form, and it sometimes comes out in violence. So this is why, if you've got kids, get them talking, try and, sometimes they don't like speaking to the parents about things, but if you've got other family members, younger siblings, or younger nephews or nieces, speak to them, get them to open up, because like I've mentioned, it comes out in other ways. They go out drinking, taking drugs. I did myself. I'm living proof of that, and that's why I've turned it around. And I'm on here trying to educate you a lot and trying to educate the kids. Sean Gowland says, "You need to do a story on the best boxing coach in the Northeast." Well, you actually are, Sean. He's the boxing coach up at me gym. Obviously, coached me on my fight. And hell of a bloke. He's going to start doing his own YouTube. We'll get him up and running, get him doing we're going to get him on a podcast shortly. Hopefully get behind him and get some good content out there. So Malcolm, I was nervous sitting in the waiting room to visit my cousin in Barlily, as some of the other visitors looked scary, never mind the prisoners. I could quite imagine it, because like you say, a lot of the prisoners that are in there, the families that come in, they've been in and out the cells, in and out the selves, not the cells. But yeah, you see some funny characters in prisons and prison visit rooms. Give Brian Rolfe a shout out. He's watching and listening, but can't seem to get into the chat. The reason you can't comment in the chat, I think it's just because I've got subscribers only on, so you mustn't be subscribed to my channel. So Brian, if you are watching this and listening to me, click the subscribe button, then you can come in and comment in the chat. But if you go to the about section on my page, it's got me email on there, and you can drop us an email. But I would love to get you on and do a podcast with you and talk about the Essex boys, and obviously Craig Rolfe, your brother. I think the viewers would love to listen to that. So I'm well up for that, mate. Flag Humper. St. Helens in the house. How you doing, Ricky, mate? Who was that heavy bag with eyes you passed everywhere or pierced everywhere? Well, funny enough, the lad that you're on about me boxing fight, and that lad had over 200 fights, and it was a lot harder than what it looked. It might have looked easy watching it. You might think that I gave him a good beating, good hiding, but it was a hard fight, because he was making his work. He was moving all over the ring. He was covering up. Me punches weren't getting through. A lot of them weren't getting through, and it was a hard fight. I couldn't drop him, and that's what I was trying to do. And obviously, when he's holding up and he's keeping his guard up, couldn't get me punches through. But he was waiting for me to burn out, and then he was going to get stuck into me. But luckily, I'd done plenty of fitness. I'd done plenty of sparring. So I was fit, and he couldn't, well, you seen he couldn't do nothing with us. Ken Charlton, you must be a new subscriber because he's saying, Ricky, what did you get put in prison for? In prison first time. My first time in prison was my first sentence, and that was the IPP, and that was for violence. I was in for 2 violent offences, and that was what I committed when I was 20-year-old. Michael Salmon, been subscribed since day 1. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for your continuing support. So Led says, what's your views on Raoul Moat, pal? So I've just started watching, I'm on to the second episode of the Raoul Moat drama. So if any of you haven't started watching it, go on to ITV Hub. I think it's on, and have a look at it. It's a good drama. I'd like to say I'm up to the second episode now. And my views on Raoul, well, he was just a coward, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in prison the first time. Well, he was in Durham prison for beating his 9-year-old daughter. So straight away, he's a coward for doing that. And then for what he went on to do afterwards, now a lot of people, I think it's just the people that aren't really educated on the case and all that, and when they're all about Raoul Moat, and a lot of them were saying he was a hero because of what he was doing, he was shooting coppers and all that. But obviously, when you sit back and have a think about it and what he was actually doing, he was in prison for beating his 9-year-old daughter. Then he got out and shot that innocent bloke, and then shot his girlfriend, then went and shot the copper that was just sitting on a motorway doing his job. Obviously, there was no need to go on to do what he done, and he fucking left a lot of destruction in his path. Sarah Robinson, my brother was in Franklin 09-15 down Warren Hill. Now said he preferred Franklin even though it was Cartier. Yeah, well, Philip Nickel, if you knew him, I'm not sure if I knew him. I left in 09, so he might have gotten there just as I was leaving. But what was that saying? Yes, look, I preferred Franklin as well compared to the Cat C's and the Cat B, like Durham. I mean, Durham and places like that's just a holding prison, but the Cat C's that I've been in, it's a better prison, as in better routines and different things like that. But it's not a better prison as when it comes down to the violence and different things, because it's a different level of violence in the high security prisons. Slender Brenda says, did you know the boss, Ricky? Who's the boss? Top G says, like that manic lad with one eye killed the 2 women PCs, no need at all. That was that Dale Cregan. Like I say again, killed them 2 coppers. I know a lot of people have got different opinions on coppers, but shooting coppers when they're on duty, like there's 2 innocent women were just going about doing the job on whether it's a copper or not, the 2 innocent lasses, one of them was like young lass, 23-year-old, I think she was, good looking lass, and he's just went out and shot them both dead. Just no need for that at all. Nigel Dunn, nice to see you, Paul. He's saying good night. He's off to watch Raoul Moat. Oh no, watch off to work. Sorry, I thought he said watch Raoul Moat. Raoul Moat, he says, was a wrong one, definitely, for what he done. John O says, I am a Leicester man. Warren Slaney spent some time at our school, very hard and dangerous man. Yes, definitely. Everyone who's been to prison, especially the high security prisons, has heard of Warren Slaney. Warren Slaney had one of the biggest names, or still has, sorry, the biggest name in the high security estate. And there's not a lot of people could have done anything with him, but he's getting on now. I'm sure he must be in his 50s now, getting up to 60. So you've got all the younger lot coming up. So and he's still stuck in there. So he's got a lot of trouble with a lot of, well, not a lot of people, but he's in trouble with quite a lot of people in the high security prisons. But he's not asked about that because he's just, Warren's a lunatic as well. He'll fight anybody who gets stuck in. And like I say, he had the name as the hardest bloke in the fucking Cartier prisons. So NFFC says, when's the next story on the great Warren Slaney? I know I keep saying I'll do it. There's loads of videos that I keep saying I'm going to do and I'm going to get round to, but it's just trying to find the time because I'm that busy at the minute and I've got loads of videos to try and get through. But I will do another one on Warren Slaney. Everyone who's probably been in here or listening in have probably heard about Warren Slaney. So what I will do, I'll research his case a bit more and I'll do, because I'm sure his family won't mind. And I'm sure anyone else who's involved won't mind. I'll do a story on it and I'll delve into the background of the case and everything, see what I can find online, and I'll do a video on it and let you all know all about it. And then I'll talk about him whilst he's been in prison. So Hurst says, I saw 2 or 3 videos where you said that the paddy wagon goes through the countryside. Do you know why? I think it probably is on about when I went up to Northumberland, which was Cassington. We went up to Cassington, then I went up to Accrington. But it's out in the countryside. You go up the motorway, and then you've got to drive through country lanes to get to the prison. So that's obviously why. Women were at Durham when I was there. Yes, I used to have E-Wing, and Durham used to be the women's wing. I'll try and get through these comments here because there's quite a few coming up. So Will says, have you seen the documentary on BBC Parole? I've only seen about half an hour of it. It's another thing, like I say, where I hardly get any time to watch things. That's why I'm not uploading as many videos on here at the minute. It's trying to get them, fit them all in, because obviously it's getting up to nearly 9 o'clock at night now. I normally asleep by 10 o'clock and I'm back up at 5:30 in the morning. At work all day and then trying to get videos and trying to catch up on different things. I've got a lot going on, but I'm trying to get through everything. But the Parole, I think I will try and watch that again. Top G, I went to Durham. I was only there a few weeks. Then they shipped me to Haverick. Yeah, Haverick's over in Carlisle, I think it is, or Cumbria. And it's that's a Cat C prison. He would wait for the biggest man to come in the nightclub and spark them out with one punch. He's on about Warren Slaney there. Mags on top keeps saying there, I see it's popped up a couple of times here. Ricky, will you ever forgive your getaway driver for your first offence or not, pal? Everything that's happened in my past, everything's been forgiven, mate. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no malice or anything. There's nothing from my end about with anyone to do with any of my offences that I've been involved with in the past. Keith Wilson, good evening from Gloucester. Good evening. How are you doing? Autistic Man says, pleased you won your fight, Ricky. You did great. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, that's the one. Mags on top. Total respect, Ricky, son. Will O'Reilly, hello from London, pal. Hello, mate. So, Flag Humper, I think you need to change your name. He says, next time, if possible, to a story on the crazy in prison and their firm. Yeah, there's, like you say, there's loads of content to cover on this channel, and it's just getting through. Because some people say, well, you'll probably run out of things to talk about, but there's there's stuff to talk about all the time that involves prison, people that have been to prison, old-time gangsters like the Criers. So I will get round to doing stories on them. Carl Walker, hello mate, how you doing? Blue Moon says, glad I caught alive. Congrats on the win. Thank you very much, mate. You love our flag, so that's why you call flag humper, is it? But it's nearly 9 o'clock now, people, so I'm going to be knocking off in a couple of minutes. But hopefully you're enjoying the content. David Robson is looking forward to joining me, Jim, in the summer. Get yourself up now. Don't wait till the summer. Just get it done now, mate. You're doing a lot of people say stuff like that. So, I'll do it next week or I'll do it in the summer. Don't do it then. Do it now. Desi says, do you need to leave your cell in prison? You're supposed to, or you can go out for your meals and stuff. But there was one lad that I seen in the HMP Home House when I was last in. He was that bad with his anxiety, he wouldn't leave his pad at all. He just had his blue prison tracksuit on, and he never left his cell at all. The screws used to get his dinner from him, bring it to his pad. And there was one time I only seen him come out of his cell, and he was getting antagonized by one of the screws because they sort of wanted him out, and they were putting a bit of pressure on him, and he actually come out onto the landing, and he went off it, and he nearly flipped on the screws, and that was because they were putting pressure on him to come out of his pad to go and get his dinner. But they told me how to go and get his meal, and he was asking them to bring it, and they wouldn't bring it, so he was getting more and more angry. And that was the only person that I've seen that actually didn't leave the cell at all. But you don't have to, but obviously you need to. Southwest Carpet Hunter says, what happens in prison if you refuse to work? So if you refuse to work in prison, you will be stripped of your privileges. Some prisons, because not all of them, but some prisons, you've got to get a job or you've got to be shown that you're doing something. So if you refuse to go to work, you probably will get a nicking. And a nicking means you've got to go up in front of the governor, explain your reasons, and you get £2.50 a week. That's like bang up here. Everybody gets that. So someone's put on the difference between TV and no TV must be huge. I've done weeks before when I was in Casson Young Offender Prison when my TV got took away because I'd been fighting. So the difference, like you say, if you're sitting in your pad, it's boring anyways. But if you've got a TV, you can sit and flick. It was only 5 channels at the time, but still, you had your TV to flick through it. So when that TV gets took away from you, you're just sitting, staring at the walls, lost in your thoughts. The days fucking drag. You read books, or you've got a radio. Obviously, when you're on bang up and you get your TV took off you, you're not allowed anything in your pad. But one of the lads sneaked us a radio in. When I went out for my shower, one of the cleaners ran in, put a radio under my bed, so at least you had something to listen to, because it does drive you mad. So Carl Waters saying, love the channel, good, a positive channel. Nice one, mate. But like I say, I do a lot of motivation talks as well, and the views don't get very big on them ones when I put like motivation stuff on, but even if it helps one person, it's all worth it. But I'm gonna knock off now, people. Gonna go and chill with me wife for an hour before I go to sleep. But if you can hit that like button, everyone, go and hit it now before I knock off. And I'll be uploading. I'll try and upload a couple of more videos this week. So if you are liking the content, people, remember to go and like and subscribe. But nice. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. But I'll probably do another live next Wednesday. But good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.